Hello, welcome to Jason Millennial. I'm here outside the B&B Theaters here in Leavenworth. Just got outside seeing Jurassic World Rebirth. Seventh in the Jurassic Park series. I've seen every single Jurassic Park movie in the theater since 1993 when I was about 10 years old. Big fan of the series, love seeing dinosaurs chasing people, always kind of exciting. This one I thought was actually okay. It wasn't great, not as good as I still think the original trilogy was great, and Jurassic World was really good. The last movie, Dominion, is definitely the worst in the series. I would put this, maybe it's kind of like Fallen Kingdom. It's about that. It's okay, not great, but not terrible like Dominion was. I think that's definitely the worst. But yeah, overall, like, I mean, all I'm expecting really is a popcorn film that entertains me, and I would say in the end it was entertaining. I wasn't too bored except for the first 30 minutes was actually kind of slow moving, kind of boring. Just a lot of people sit on boats talking. I was a little, at first I was like, this is a little slow paced. I want to see some more dinosaurs. Kind of like Ian, Jeff Goldblum's character in the first movie. There are dinosaurs in this movie, aren't there? That's what I was feeling the first 30 minutes. And then we started getting some dinosaur action, I think, around there. That was my big criticism of the movie. But the last half of the movie was kind of exciting and entertaining, like I said, enough. I don't feel as scared or thrilled as I do in some of the other movies, I would say. I would say a big mistake is there's no raptors. I mean, come on, raptors are the best part of the Jurassic Park movies, and this is the only one that didn't have any raptors in it. So I thought that was a big mistake. We only see the T-Rex like once in the whole movie, so also lack of T-Rex. Come on. That's the two calling cards of Jurassic Park, T-Rexes and raptors. I mean, we get a new dinosaur, which is like, okay, it looked more like a Rancor from Star Wars, but every Jurassic Park movie, we need to make up a new dinosaur. It's like, I feel like, just have T-Rexes and raptors. Those are pretty good dinosaurs. But anyways, my only other criticism is the whole movie, there's the plot with Scarlett Johansson, who, to be honest, I kind of felt was miscast here. She's supposed to be a secret ops person leading this mission to get blood samples from these dinosaurs, and I'm like, really, Scarlett Johansson? She should have been more like the car going by. She should have been more like the scientist on the mission, anyways. But so I felt like that wasn't the best casting. Mahershala Ali is the MVP of this movie. I thought Mahershala Ali was great. He had the best character. He had the best character arc in the movie. He was the most fun, charismatic character. Would love to see more of him, actually. There's this whole family that comes into the movie who gets capsized by a dinosaur, and then they kind of get involved in the storyline, but they're just there to survive, basically. And they get split up, and we follow them, and it just cuts back between this family that's just there to try and survive, and then the Scarlett Johansson mission team. And it's like, we didn't really need the family. It didn't really add anything to the story or do anything that exciting, or the characters weren't that great. It's like we could have just done without the whole family, and it wouldn't have hurt the story at all. And in fact, it probably would have helped, because we would have concentrated more on the Scarlett Johansson team with Mahershala Ali, Jonathan Bailey, and what they were doing was more exciting to the storyline. It really was the main story. So I don't know. I agree a lot of the criticism. We could have done without the family. Just concentrate on that main core characters, and that would have been more exciting. We didn't have to cut back and forth between the two to see what was going on. But anyways, besides that, yeah, I think it's a worthwhile movie. Not great, but it's okay. It's not one of the worst, so that's good to see. And it's just a fun summer popcorn film. So I think you could take the family out and have a good time with it. So that's my thoughts. I'll talk more when I get home, and I'll see you later. Hello everybody, hope everybody's doing well here on a Wednesday late night, and I want to talk a little bit more about Jurassic World Rebirth that I saw earlier in the afternoon today. I see I'm wearing a different outfit. I mowed the lawn and took a shower and all that. But yeah, I kind of did the basics in the intro there, but just talk a little bit more about the movie itself. If you don't know about the movie, and you probably do if you've seen the trailers, it kind of shows the whole plot of the movies. But basically, in the movie, we have like I said, it almost feels like two movie scripts put together, because there's a whole story with this mission team going to this dinosaur island to get dinosaur blood samples, and that storyline, I guess I'll talk about, is this rich guy who owns like a pharmaceutical company. He's working with this scientist guy played by Jonathan Bailey, and I'm not gonna remember the names, but I think his name's Henry. Yeah, I think it was Henry. Anyways, he's like a paleontologist, whatever, and he's in charge of like this museum. And I should say about the world, this is coming after Jurassic World, I guess, Dominion. So it's in the line of the Jurassic World movies. Obviously, it's like in the same universe, though there's no characters that appear from Jurassic Park or Jurassic World. So this movie almost feels like its own thing, even though it's part of the same world, I guess. But it sounds like the whole idea is that the dinosaurs that lived in North America are actually all dying because it's too cold, I guess. They're not used to the cold temperatures here in the United States or whatever. And it's just the environment's not made for dinosaurs, evidently. So a lot of them have left, or the ones that, and there's still, and kind of begins with the movie, there's still a couple of dinosaurs left that are roaming around. And so anyway, so they're all left basically, or have died out, and the only ones that are left are ones that live in islands or places near the equator, basically, because they have to have, I guess, a very warm environment. It's the whole idea. And so they live in jungles like near the equator in these islands. So, and the whole idea is like dinosaurs aren't that interesting anymore because they've all died out. And so this museum's like going out of business, this dinosaur museum that this guy runs. But he's like working with this pharmaceutical guy on and here a bunch of science I don't understand. I kind of went all over my head, but the basic idea is that they figured out a way to, if they get the blood samples of these three different species of dinosaurs, that they can create some medicine that will help people live longer that have heart disease. I think that's, if I'm right, that was kind of the whole idea. And so they said you can live 20 years longer if you have like heart problems, something like that. So of course, the guy that owns the pharmaceutical, of course, he's really just greedy, just wants money, though he acts like, oh, I'm really doing this to help people, you know, and that's how he tries to get people to go along. But anyways, he's putting the team together because they have to go to this island that is prohibited, of course, because nobody should go to these islands that have dinosaurs on them. But so he's putting up this team, and he goes and gets Scarlett Johansson, because Scarlett Johansson used to be like co-op, CIA, or special forces, something, you know, of course. So she knows how to get in and out of places, evidently, and she knows people that can help. Of course, they got the scientist, paleontologist, who I guess has created this system of how to get the blood samples out of these people, out of these dinosaurs. And then you also pick up Mahershala Ali and a couple other people, part of his crew. He has a boat, and they have crew because they have to go there by boat, of course. And anyways, in Scarlett Johansson, Mahershala Ali character, I think his name's Duncan, her name's Zora. They have to, or they've worked together in the past, so there's a whole thing between them. And anyways, and we get into that in the movie, what happened in their past as like mercenaries or whatever. Anyway, so they get this team together because they have to go to this island. There's three different dinosaur species that they already tagged, I guess. They know where they are. I don't quite understand how that worked, but somehow they know where they are on the island, so they know how to get to them. One's in the water, and then there's like a big like brontosaurus type, and then there's like a pterodactyl type. And the whole thing about this island, as they tease in the beginning of the movie, there used to be a lab there where they modified different dinosaurs. They took different dinosaurs and mutated them and made these modified dinosaurs, of course, for the Jurassic World Park. Because if you remember in Jurassic World, they kept mutating dinosaurs because people were getting tired of the old dinosaurs, I guess the normal ones. And so they kept making new attractions, so people would get more excited, I guess, and they make more money, and people would keep coming back to the Jurassic World anyways. And so this was the island where they, so the whole movie basically is dinosaurs that are kind of mixtures of, you know, two or three different dinosaurs or something. So it's like a dinosaur that you know, but it's just a little bit modified to be a little different. Anyways, that's the whole idea. So, you know, as that happens, they're usually more dangerous type dinosaurs anyways. So yeah, that's their whole plot, is they get to the island and they got to find these dinosaurs or whatever. And then there's this whole separate plot of this family, as I said in the intro, this dad, he has two girls, one teenager, one like maybe 8 years old, and then the teenager's girl, her boyfriend's also along, so it's four of them, and they're just going on a ride because they like to sail, I guess, and so they're doing this like one last sail before the teenage daughter goes off to college. So the dad's just having this last family bonding experience, except he doesn't care for the boyfriend, who's kind of seems like kind of a loser, but not a loser. I don't know. Yeah, we're not sure what to think about this guy. But anyways, so the whole family gets capsized by one of the swimming big, like a whale dinosaur thing. And they get saved by, I'm sorry, I'm spoiling some of the movie, but they get saved by the other group that was along the same area. And that's how they kind of get connected with the Scarlett Johansson crew. But then they get separated again. And so the whole movie is, like I said, it's like two different movies mixed in one, where you're just cutting between this family of four, base or whatever, this four, as they're trying to make it to, they believe there's a village or somewhere that they can go and hide out from these dinosaurs. And so they're following this geothermal pipeline that they believe is giving electricity to this village or something like that. So they're following that. They're doing their own thing, kind of away from the other group. The other group, of course, like I said, is going around and trying to get blood samples. Anyways, and of course, lots of bad things happen. A lot of dinosaurs. A lot of people are getting, the crew members, that aren't the main characters are going to get eaten, and they do. It's like, yeah, that they're like red shirts on Star Trek. Okay, those people aren't main characters. They're going to get eaten, and they do. As I said. Anyway, so they kind of follow their own paths, and the movie just kind of cuts between them, and then they have an interaction with the dinosaur, and then after that's done, then they cut back to the family, and they got an interaction with the dinosaur. And then now that happened, then they cut back to this. Anyway, so it's just cut back and forth. Like I said, it felt weird that you had these two different storylines going on at once. They do come together at the end, I guess. So, but it felt like this family storyline is its own movie. Like, why did we have this whole family doing their own thing, when the most interesting part of the movie is the Scarlett Johansson, Mahershala Ali mission that they're doing? The one thing that makes sense is the rich guy who owns the company is there too with them, helping do this. And I'm like, why would he be there? If I was a rich guy owning a company, that's what I pay you guys for. I pay the mercenaries to go do this thing while I'm sitting back in my mansion, drinking a pina colada or whatever. I would not be on the island where you get eaten by a freaking dinosaur. Like, why would you put your life in danger? You're a rich guy. You hire other people to do the dangerous stuff. It made no sense that he was there, only because he was the kind of somewhat villainous guy. Not the most villainous guy we've ever had in a Jurassic Park movie, but he's obviously was painted as, oh, he's greedy, he's doing all this for himself and all that, I mean, the dinosaurs are the real villains, I guess, in some senses, but he's the human villain in some senses. And that's the only reason why he's there, is just so we had somebody that we can hate, I guess, and be against. And he's going to be eaten by a dinosaur. You're like, okay, we're going to be satisfied once he gets eaten by a dinosaur, as all villainous characters do in these Jurassic Park movies. And since this is a similar storyline they all have, because basically all the Jurassic Park movies we're on an island full of dinosaurs, and we got to figure out how to survive and get off this island. That's basically, it's a survival movie. That's really all the Jurassic Park movies are. So it's like, we keep coming up with these different movies, and they all have very similar in the sense that it's just, oh no, there's scary dinosaurs trying to eat us, so we gotta figure out how to get away from them and get help, get a radio, whatever, get help, get off this island. And then in the end is they get off the island, and then the movie's over. It's triumphant, we didn't die, That's kind of all the stuff, anyways. And this movie's weird because it's, like I said, it's connected in the same universe, but it's not connected to any of the other movies. So it doesn't feel like a first part of a trilogy. Like at first, if the first two Jurassic Park movies, those were books. So those are based off of the Michael Crichton books. So those make sense why you make those two movies. And you made the third Jurassic Park movie and Spielberg didn't make that movie, he only made the first two. And the only reason to make the third Jurassic Park movie is just so it's a trilogy, because we love trilogy. So it's like, let's do a third one just to make a trilogy. And they brought back Dr. Grant for that third one. So that was great. I love the third movie because of Dr. Grant being in there. And I really love the first three movies. I think they're all three really good, very thrilling movies with a lot of memorable moments. And then Jurassic World kind of rebooted the series. And I thought it was great because I love how they brought back They brought new characters in, and they had this whole idea of they actually made a Jurassic Park called Jurassic World. So I love the idea of, oh, here's what if we actually did make a Jurassic Park theme park, and something went wrong. So I don't know. I thought that was a new, fresh take on the property. And it was great because Chris Pratt was great. He was really hot as an actor, and he was becoming a big name at that point. And his character is great, and Chris Pratt's great because he's got the look of a leading man that he can do, the action adventure stuff, and he's also very funny. So you have the good humor and action that I love out of those movies. Again, we didn't need a third Jurassic World only because we like trilogy. So Jurassic World Dominion, we did not need at all, and it was a really terrible movie. So, but this doesn't feel like the first movie in a trilogy. It just feels like just an extra movie that we didn't need necessarily, except, I don't want to say it's a cash grab, but it's probably just a cash grab. Just if we put a movie in the Jurassic World, universe, and we put dinosaurs chasing people, people will go watch it, and they do, because I went and watched it, and I was kind of excited to watch it. I like watching people running away from dinosaurs. There's a lot of fun in that, the thrills and the intensity of that, if they do it right. But in the end, you have to say we probably didn't need this movie. It didn't really add anything new to the franchise that we needed. The only thing I like is that it added a couple scenes that are in the first book that weren't in the other movies. So that was kind of cool to see. Namely, there's a scene where the family, they're getting on a raft in the river, because I think they go down this river, they'll find their village, whatever. And a T-Rex attacks them as they're going down this river on a raft. And that's a scene that's in the first book. So that was really cool to go, oh man, because I do think that was a great scene in the book that was never visualized. So that was actually a cool scene. I like that scene because I was like, oh wow, finally this scene that I've read and visualized in my mind came on screen. So that was kind of cool to see that. And that's one of the best parts of the movie. It's the only time, and I said in the intro, it's the only time we ever see a T-Rex in the whole movie. Because when we begin, like I said, the first 30 minutes is quite boring and very slow paced. It's just people on boats just talking, and we're kind of learning a little bit of people's backgrounds, but there's some scenes where the people are just sitting there and they're like talking a little bit, blah, 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 and then cut to something, and then come back, and we're on the boat talking, blah, 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 and I'm thinking, do we need another scene where we're just talking on the boat? Let's get to some dinosaurs. I remember the whole time, as I'm watching the movie, I'm thinking, like, how long are we into this movie and I haven't seen a dinosaur attack anybody? Like, I need more. That's why I'm here. I need to see dinosaurs attacking people every, 10 to 15 minutes or something, keep my excitement or some intensity that I think dinosaurs might jump out. And then we got the family on the other boat, and they're just sitting around, not sitting around, but, talking or whatever about their family dynamic. And it was just too much people on boats for a while. And I was like, this movie needs to pick up. It needs to get paced better. Because I remember I went to the bathroom. There's a scene where I probably didn't see. I don't know what I missed, but I did go to the bathroom because I had to go, and it was a slow scene. I thought, okay, nothing's happening here. And I was about an hour and a half into the movie, and I remember looking at my phone and going, I'm an hour and a half in this movie, and I feel like we haven't seen the main dinosaur that they've been teasing the whole movie. And so I'm like, when are we going to get into kind of the more thrilling, scary part? We haven't really gotten much thrills at this point. And so the thrills don't really come till the end that we get some more thrilling scenes, I think. And we do get this kind of scene where they're getting like a blood from a pterodactyl egg. I say a pterodactyl, it's like a mixture of pterodactyl probably and something else. And that was one of the more exciting scenes in the movie, and you've seen it in the trailer. Them kind of in this cave, getting from an egg, and they get attacked. Anyways, so that was an okay scene. That definitely was one of the more thrilling scenes. It does feel like the movie wasn't that thrilling, wasn't that scary. It didn't really keep me on the edge like I would like in some of the other Jurassic Park movies. Because the first time they get attacked is by, like I said, the first 30 minutes or 45 minutes of the movie is just them on the water, and they get attacked by some, dinosaurs in the water. And so we get that whole scene, which is kind of exciting. But finally, when we get off that boat, I was so happy. I was like, all right, finally we get on the island, and we're, going to, to our mission, and we're going through the jungle, and that's kind of interesting and scary, Then we get attacked by some pterodactyl animals, like I said, and we had the one T-Rex scene. And then even at the end, there's these flying dinosaurs that I read later, now that I kind of looked up the movie, that they're a mixture of a pterodactyl and a raptor, anyway, or something like that. I didn't realize that when I was watching. I just remember, like, that's a weird looking pterodactyl. Anyway, it's kind of hybrid thing that attacks them. So it feels like most of the movie, they're either attacked by the water dinosaurs, or by flying dinosaurs. So I don't know. I needed more land dinosaurs. I felt like I was weird that we didn't get enough of those. And I said in the intro, there's no raptors. Come on, raptors are my favorite dinosaur. They're the best part of these Jurassic Park, Jurassic World movies. 6 movies, there's always a big raptor scene, and those are usually my favorite scenes of the movie. I know, like I said, there's a majority of the last like 20, 30 minutes of the movie is them being attacked by these 2 pterodactyl raptor dinosaurs. I guess a mixture of the two. So I guess that's our raptor scene. It's not really a raptor though, because they can fly, so it doesn't really look like a raptor. So I don't know. I need a raptor. I love when people get attacked by raptors. Those are always really scary, thrilling scenes and funnest stuff in there. Since the first movie, they did such a good job of making you so scared of these raptor dinosaurs. Anyway, so yeah, so I think it's a big, big misstep not getting those raptors in there. Like I said, only one T-Rex. I need more T-Rexes. Need more T-Rex scenes. Anyways, now there's one big monster. I'm calling the Rancor monster because it looks like a big Rancor from Star Wars Return of the Jedi. We get teased at the beginning. We see it a little bit. And that whole movie, I'm thinking, when is this dinosaur going to show up? Because I know this is the big scary dinosaur. Every movie has to have a big scary dinosaur besides the T-Rex. And it's like maybe, I feel like 15 minutes of the movie, that dinosaur shows up and starts wreaking havoc, and they have to run away from it. And it does, eat some people and destroy some things. And it was okay, It didn't look like a dinosaur. It looked like a Rancor, so it was kind of a weird hybrid thing. And so it didn't really, again, most of the other movies, if you hype up a dinosaur, it becomes a big part of the story plot. This dinosaur barely was in the movie. And it's all over the advertisement, so I was expecting more being attacked by this dinosaur. That's why I want to watch it. Something new, exciting. That would have been something new, I guess, a new Rancor dinosaur. And so, yeah, it barely shows up and barely does some things. They run away from it, they get away from it, whatever, So, yeah, a little bit disappointed there. I thought they should have done more with that. If that was going to be their big selling point of the movie, is this big Rancor dinosaur. And going back to the characters, Scarlett Johansson I thought was miscast. Her character was not that interesting, and I thought she would have been better. Like I think I said, if she was the scientist, I think that would make more sense, because she's supposed to be this mercenary, but I'm like, she's a woman, so I'm like, I don't care about a woman mercenary. I want to see Arnold Schwarzenegger. I want to see a big buff guy. Those are the kind of guys I want to see, leading the action, mercenary. I want to see, Chris Pratt or something, that's more interesting than Scarlett Johansson. It's like, really, this small woman is supposed to be the badass that I'm supposed to, be like, oh, she's gonna have the cool action scenes. Like, no, I need a guy to be that part. She would have fit well as just the scientist, like that could, help them. That would have made more sense, in my opinion. And she was not that. Again, Scarlett Johansson just felt like she phoned it in as a performance. Not a great Scarlett Johansson performance. Mahershala Ali, he was the best character. He was the best actor. As soon as he showed up, I was like, yeah, this is the best character in the movie. And he also had a great storyline, because there's a whole storyline about his son died, and they don't go in detail, but his son died, and his wife and him like split up because of that. Anyways, and because of that, he's always protecting the little girl in the movie. And I kind of like that. Even one part, I don't want to spoil too much, but he even tries to sacrifice himself, to help save this little girl. And I thought that was a great character moment for him. That's why I love the character so much, because he was so brave, and because of his past, he was wanting to save this little girl. So that's a good story, good overall story arc. To me, he should have been the main character, and it should all have been about him and his past, and him saving the girl and finding redemption or something like that. And maybe he gets back together with his wife. That would have been a great story moment and made this movie much better. So to me, like, do away with Scarlett Johansson, make Mahershala Ali the main character, and make most of the story about him. That would have made this movie, I think, much better. Overall, I'm still giving it a light recommend, 3 out of 5 stars. I still, at the end, I was like, you know what? The first 30 minutes were boring, but everything on, I wasn't bored. I was mostly entertained, and like I said, it's not the best thrills I've ever had. I would say this is, out of 7 movies, this is my 6th favorite out of the 7 Jurassic Park movies. So yeah, not the worst, but but towards the bottom of the list for me, as far as like memorable and exciting. You know, it wasn't the most memorable, exciting thing, but for the most part, I was entertained still with what was going on. And at the end, I was like, yeah, that was all right. I felt okay. So yeah, so that's what I'm leaving here. It's an okay Jurassic Park movie. Not one you must see, but one, if you see it on streaming, it would be a fine one to see with the family anyways. But so that's my thoughts. Please comment if you've seen it, what you thought about the movie itself, and what was your favorite character and all that. I'd love to read your thoughts in the comments. And besides that, thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you for liking it, and thank you to all my subscribers for supporting the channel. I appreciate you all and hope you have a good day.